When I fell in love with acting, I loved making people cry. I loved cry. I loved the dramas. I love everything like that. That was really weird, but it was, I guess, like end of teenager years when you're a little bit melodramatic. At one point when I was younger, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I've always known that I wanted to act and sing. But my parents, being scientists, they said, that's not a living, that's not a job. Get yourself a proper job. So I started to put that to the side and started thinking maybe I can become archaeologist. You need to give all you have for 25, 30 minutes. Sometimes it was 40 minutes. And then you go out. You have 20 minutes to change makeup, change costume, change whatever you have to change. Breathe, drink, and then go again. This up and down in the energy is really hard to keep on. And by the end of the day, whew, one more. Okay, let's do it.
Welcome to the Theatre Art Life podcast. Today we're talking to Alexandra Aucher. Alex is an artistic coordinator and an assistant director based out of Quebec City and Paris. Born into a family of archeologists, she developed an early interest on the arts. More specifically, she developed a passion for singing and acting, a passion that would take her to work to Disneyland Paris for 20 years. She now splits her time between Paris, Quebec City, and Montreal, while being an artistic coordinator for Cirque Eloize. Hello, Alex. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you on. Please indulge me with this question, but I want to know more. What is it like to grow up in a household where your parents both are archaeologists?
It was amazing. My mother was a researcher in archaeology at the CNRS, which is the French National Center for Scientific Research. And she was attached to the Louvre Museum. And that's where she met my father, who did some research too for the Louvre. My mother was working a lot. And when I was a child, she used to take me wherever she went. And for her work, she had to travel a lot as an archaeologist because she worked in libraries around the globe. She worked on excavations. And she used to take me wherever she went, in Italy, in Greece, in Turkey. She was specialized in Etruscan art. So we were really around in Europe, in Europe. I don't know. I have so many memories. And my mother used to recall, for example, a memory when she brought me to Amendolara, which was in South Italy. I was really a little child. I was basically 2 years old. I was sitting on the floor. I was playing with rocks in my hands. And suddenly my mother heard joyful screams and everything because I just found and I held in my hand an antique coin, which was a great discovery at that day. And I think there's a museum somewhere in Italy that credits my name for that discovery, which is quite funny. When she was not traveling, my mother was working in the Louvre. And I had the great opportunity to basically spend very many hours in the Louvre as well backstage as on stage. That is part of my best childhood memories. I remember this long corridor, beautiful, with red marble walls. And at the end of this corridor, there was Aphrodite of Milo, a great white sculpture. And in the walls, hidden, there was a secret door. Of course, only my mother and a few people could get through this door. And I was really proud when she brought me with her, and I was looking at the guests, and I was going into that room and like, hey, I'm going somewhere you can't. Yeah, it was really funny. It was amazing.
I bet you learned a lot of things just by being there.
Well, when I was a little older, I was bored being backstage with her. She would just leave me wander alone in the Louvre, which was a great opportunity for me. I was spending so much time looking at those wonderful paintings, sculptures. I was interested in Egyptian art. I was reading all the things everywhere, and yeah, it was a great opportunity to learn so many things about art.
So, would you consider yourself an expert at the Louvre?
Maybe not. It's been a long time now.
Do you have a favorite artwork there?
uh, it's hard, but as I said, I was really fascinated by all the Egyptian culture. And there was these, I don't know the English word, sarcophages.
Sarcophagus.
Yeah, thank you. I was just fascinated by them. I spent hours looking at them.
It's cool. All right. I'm going to bring us back to the subject matter, which is live entertainment and not mummies and sarcophagus, which is very fascinating anyway. I'll ask that in private so I can carry on. But so how do you go from sarcophagus and mummies to singing and acting?
When I was a little bit older, my mom didn't bring me to the Louvre anymore, obviously. And she was looking for other means to keep me occupied. So she started bringing me to singing lessons, to piano lessons. I learned piano for 10 years. I learned violin. I took dancing classes. And she had a friend, a dear friend, that was a painter in Paris. And I spent a lot of time with her learning oil painting techniques and everything. So I was really surrounded by arts all my childhood. And growing up as a young teenager, I was a little bit shy. And as often in that case, parents put their children in acting classes. And at the school I was attending, they just opened a wonderful acting workshop. And this was a revelation for me.
What did it reveal?
I don't know. I was struggling with expressing myself, with finding words. And my parents were both scientists, and they were not really keen on expressing their feelings and emotions. And as a teenager, I was feeling so many things inside me, and I didn't know how to express it. And with these theater classes, I found a way of expressing all these things and feeling emotions that I really like to feel, and making other people feel the emotions too. That's what I was loving in the thing.
And how, like, eventually you ended up going into more comedy. What's special about comedy?
You mean comedy like fun?
Like you, yeah. Didn't you specialize in comedy at some point, and were you a comedian, according to the
Um,
records?
I did actually more classical theater at first in my studies. I went to the Studio Alain de Bock in Paris, where I studied all the basics of acting, like acting studio and everything. And actually, it was when I went to Disney later, when I worked for Disney, I discovered a completely new world, because I was hired as an actress on a show called Cinephalis. It was in the Walt Disney Studios a few years after the Walt Disney Studios opened for the first time. And we were portraying a film crew from the 50s. and it was street theater, basically. And this is where I discovered a very different way of acting, which was more burlesque, more overacted, because we were outside and the guests weren't expecting to have this kind of animation. And it was a highly interactive show too. So you had to go for it to have people come to us. And this is where I fell in love with comedy, because that was what we did.
Being the interaction, the direct interaction with the public.
Yes, and making them laugh, obviously. Because at first, when I fell in love with acting, I loved making people cry. I loved cry. I loved the dramas. I love everything like that. That was really weird, but it was, I guess, like end of teenager years when you're a little bit melodramatic. Um, and that's where I was good at. But then I found out that making people laugh was way more pleasant.
Definitely nice. So how's it working for Disney? How do you end up in Disneyland Paris?
First, I've been working in Paris as a singer and an actor, and then at one point, really randomly, I clicked on an ad that was looking for artists in Disneyland Paris. I was like, why not? Because I was fed up waiting after the telephone to have some contracts. You know, when you're an artist, you need to look for different contracts, and it was exhausting. I wanted to settle down for some month. And so I applied for this job opportunity. I passed an audition and then an interview. And a few weeks later, I started working for Disney. And what was supposed to be a couple of months ended up being 20 years. I started, as I said, working as an actress on this wonderful show. And then I became pregnant. And I didn't fit in the costumes anymore. And I had the great opportunity to work backstage with the creative teams as an assistant of the department. And this was a revelation for me, because I was like, that's really interesting. As much as I love being on stage, this is something different. And I could see myself doing this for the rest of my life too.
I'm going to bring us back a little bit. I want to ask about what is it to be an actor in Paris and a singer. Like, we've heard a lot about, especially now with the strike in the US with the union. And we know that in the US, you usually have like an agent, and it's a very structured process, so to speak, to get to say to sing and act in Broadway or for Hollywood. But how does it work in Paris?
Well, back in the days, because it was like some years ago, it was very different from now. Basically, in France, you don't need to have an agent to be able to work. You don't have this union going on as much as in the United States. I never had an agent personally, and I worked well enough. It's really about opportunities, meeting the right people, building a social I don't know how to say,
Your
meeting new
network.
people. Yes, building your network, basically. And this is how I went from contract to contract, meeting people who said, "Hey, I have this other project. Do you want to go there?" And yes, and why not? And then you do a singing gig, and then people talk about you, and then you get the next singing gig, and that's how it went.
Interesting, for a country that loves their unions, that you guys don't have a union
I
for.
know they are, but it's really different.
All right, so we were where you fell in love with backstage and creation and supporting the artistic team. So you stayed there as an assistant, and how's it different from because you came into the day-to-day operation of shows, and eventually moved to do more creation and uh, more from scratch stuff, right?
Actually, when there was a job opportunity. They opened a job that was called artistic stage manager, which doesn't really have much equivalent outside. But basically, it was assisting the show directors on a daily basis. And I applied for this job, and I got the job. And this is what I did for 16 years. It was not a creative job. It was really the link between the creative team and the operations, and I was part of the operational. I would make sure that the creative teams got what they wanted in the rehearsals, and after, on the long term operational point of view, I was watching the shows on a daily basis, giving notes to the artists, and making sure that the original product was still there day after day, year after year. Because at Disneyland Paris, the shows are running for a long, long time. And eventually, when we did a remount of a show, I would do them on my own with the help of the show director, but I would lead the rehearsal and everything.
And would you say it was more acting based or musical theater based, or it was a little bit of everything?
And now a note from our sponsor. The Theatre Art Live podcast is proud to be sponsored by Clearcom. Clearcom is the leader in voice communications for theatre and the performing arts. Call your cues with the simplicity and elegance of Clearcom Intercom solutions. You can find them at clearcom.com. Go check them out.
It was a little bit of everything. My specialty was really acting coaching, but I've been working on very different sort of shows, and there were some with music and singing and dancing. There were some only with text. It was really a wide range, but in Disneyland we have a specific coach for every specialty. So I was there to be the acting coach. There was a singing coach for the singers. There was a captain for the dance, and we all together had to work in harmony and build the show.
And so you still like that?
I do.
Would you have, like, from when you found a little coin in Italy to now, like, would you have imagined, like, it's not, I mean, it's quite a different setup, but it's still very different to the average person.
Yes, well, at one point when I was younger, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I've always known that I wanted to act and sing, but my parents, being scientists, they said, that's not a living, that's not a job. Get yourself a proper job. So I started put that to the side and started thinking maybe I can become archaeologist, maybe I can research in Egyptology, and I started learning Copt language. I started learning hieroglyphs and everything. And my mother told me, finish school, then go to university, and then we'll see. And I did that, but I just couldn't. I loved what I did. I was really good at school, but somewhere the only thing I wanted to do was act and sing. So I started taking acting lessons aside from the university. Actually, I was graduating from the acting school as well as from as I did my master's degree for English literature and translation. It was tough times doing both together, but I did it.
Nice. So what would you suggest someone that wants to apply to Disney or specifically Disneyland Paris?
To apply as an artist,
Or as anything you can recommend that you know how it works?
you need to have a high energy. You need to love people, love entertaining industry, love children. And this is really different because you need to have a great stamina, because when you perform in Disneyland, you perform 5 to 6 times a day in front of the audience. You perform in front of many, many, many people. It's wonderful, but it's really different.
Was that your biggest challenge, to keep up with the energy?
Yeah, in a way, it was hard because you need to give all you have for 25, 30 minutes. Sometimes it was 40 minutes. And then you go out. You have 20 minutes to change makeup, change costume, change whatever you have to change, breathe, drink, and then go again. And this up and down in the energy is really hard to keep on. And by the end of the day, whew, one more. Okay, let's do it. And you know that you have to be at your best from the beginning to the end to entertain the guests that are there for you. And you can't fail them.
You can't fail them. You can't fail a kid. No, you can't.
You can't.
You cannot. You cannot destroy their dreams.
No.
So, and then you ended up doing circus.
Yes.
You joined the circus troupe.
This was totally unexpected. This was not part of my career plans.
What was your career plan?
I don't really know. Go on with Disney for another 20 years. But then life decided differently. And for personal reasons, I had to go to Canada to see my father. And I took a break from Disney. And here I am in Canada, in Quebec, with my father, no job. And I had this opportunity to meet Claudia Couture from Cirque Eloize. And she gave me an opportunity to work on one of their projects, and as an artistic coordinator, which is really similar to what I was doing in Disneyland. And I started a new adventure. I had to learn a new job, basically, because working with circus artists is really different from working with singers or dancers or acrobats. It's a new world. It's a new family I met, and I am learning to know. I had to learn all the technical stuff, the riggings and everything that I was not familiar with. And but once that's done, I find some similarities with what I was doing, and I really, really enjoy it.
How's it different working with acrobats compared to singers or dancers?
It's really a mindset, I think. It's different working with people that are used to use their bodies as their, let's say, their instrument. There's a dedication to their body. There is, I don't know. It's a different mentality, a different way of seeing things and life, a different way of speaking, of interacting with people. And it's really interesting in the management, because you have to adapt to every people when you manage artists. And I still have to find the way, the key to that category of artists.
On a operational, let's say, or on a pragmatic, I think it's more pragmatic, the word I'm looking for. In a pragmatic level, for the operation or for what you're tasked to do, is it, like you said, that it was similar to what you were doing in Disney? Is there language? Is in general, even, I don't know, the way people behave, the way you interact with technicians, with the creative team, is it similar, or is it two completely different universes?
No, it's really different. Obviously, you work with the same categories of people. I've been working with sound guys, I've been working with lights, I've been working with technical teams, and in that perspective, the job is the same. But it's really different working in Canada and working in France. The Canadians and the French are two different people. And you can feel that in the way you work, because the French, I think, are really overthinking many things. And the Canadian are more on the heart. They're more on expressing their feelings and very naturally speaking. And this is something I discovered. I was like, oh, I like the way people talk to each other, the respect, the mutual respect, and the softness of the tone when they speak and everything. Not that the French are brutal or whatever, but it's different. It's really different.
So it's been more of a cultural difference in terms of
cultural difference. Yes, that's what I felt the most.
Interesting. And you find it easier to communicate?
I find it easier to communicate. I like that people express what they think in a very calm and polite way.
So what would you say is your favorite thing about your job?
My favorite thing about my job is being at the center of all the action, to be said, because I'm the link between the creation teams and the technical teams, and I make sure that everyone has the right informations. And make sure that everything runs smooth and in the right direction. And I really like working with the technical teams more and more as time goes by, because a show is nothing without the technical team. Of course, you need the good idea. Of course, you need to create a show and everything, but then comes in the costume, the sound design, the light design, and the props and the set, and everything comes to life together with one vision, but with all the individual talents, and bringing all that together and making sure that everyone goes in the right decision and follows the vision of the show director. I really love that. I really enjoy that.
So you're going to become a techie eventually?
Maybe, who knows?
So if there was the one thing that you wish it was done different or was better within, whether it's the industry or your job, what would you choose?
I don't really know. I just wish COVID never happened, because I really sense that there's a big difference post-COVID and before COVID. I don't really know what it is, but the industry suffered a lot from it, and it's starting to take over and to do like a rebirth. But I think that things are slower, are more difficult than before, and if I would have a magical wand, I would have just erased COVID and go on with life as before.
So you said you can't pinpoint exactly what's different.
No, I wouldn't change anything today. I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Perfect. I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing with us. And we shall hear more from you at some point.
Sure, thank you very much.
Theatre at Life is a global media site for entertainment. Memberships start at only $38 per year. You can have unlimited access to our daily published articles, including entertainment news and the writings of active industry professionals, ensuring that you are always up to date on the global happenings in the world of entertainment. Become a part of the international entertainment community and join us now at www.theaterartlife.com.